Would an 18-game NFL season work?
NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell told the Pat McAfee show that he was interested in an 18-game season.
How about we explore the idea even further and identify 5 reasons that adding another NFL game would be awesome and 5 reasons that it would be terrible. Awesome? More football. Okay guys, I know we live in a world that is very divided and there are a ton of very serious issues that folks just can't seem to agree on. But I mean, come on, who the heck doesn't want more football? Yeah, there will be a cost to the extra game, and not just with your sports book now that you could potentially have another week to lose bets, but we will get into that. But for now, how about we just relish in the fact that the idea of an 18-game season quite simply means more football. More action-packed Sundays, more fantasy football matchups, and more opportunities to watch your favorite team in action. And not only would fans get more time to enjoy the sport that they love, on the other side of that coin would be a much shorter off-season. I think that's a win-win. Bottom line, this is a simple math equation. More games equals more thrilling moments and highlights to look forward to each and every week. I think it's hard to argue that this is not a net positive. Terrible, ruining the record books. While more football in the moment is hard to argue, it does throw a bit of a wrench into the sanctity of the league's record books. This has been flagged as one of, if not the biggest concerns by league historians, as adding more games is radically going to affect the record books. Legendary milestones set in a 16-game season might be overshadowed by new records set in 18 games, which would inevitably come with that dreaded asterisk, at least for some records. Take Eric Dickerson's legendary single-season rushing record of 2,105 yards set back in 1984, which even to this day, with a 17-game season, stands as one of the most untouchable achievements. In a 16-game season, this averaged out to an incredible 131.6 yards per game. With 2 additional games, future running backs would need to average just over 117 yards per game in order to surpass this milestone. Same goes for Peyton Manning's single-season touchdown record and LaDainian Tomlinson's 28 rushing TD mark. Furthermore, we'll start to see more and more young players climb the all-time record books as their careers progress. And over time, all those extra games will start to add up. Ultimately, while the prospect of more football is exciting, it's essential to consider the long-term implications on the sport's legacy. And of course, the role that the integrity of the record books plays into maintaining it. Adding games might bring short-term excitement, but it could also lead to a future where the achievements of today's stars are forever marked with an asterisk, thus casting a shadow over their entire legacy. Or heck, even worse, yesterday's legends will be totally forgotten. Awesome Super Bowl before President's Day. Honestly, regardless of whether the NFL adds another game or not, they should find a way to make this happen. An extended season would push the Super Bowl closer to President's Day, creating the perfect long weekend for football fans. How much better would it be to be able to enjoy the biggest game of the year with a day off on Monday to recover from all the just general festivities. This right here is an absolute no-brainer. It would create an ideal setup for epic Super Bowl parties and a chance for fans to truly savor the end of football season without the dread of Monday morning looming over them. Come on, make it happen, Goodell. Terrible? Player safety. According to the NFL, player safety is of the utmost importance. It is a paramount concern. So, please no one pay attention while we try to add another regular season game that will only increase the risks of injuries. To the average human, one more game may seem like no small feat for the freak athletes on NFL rosters. But the physical toll of an NFL season is already so immense, something that us mortals will never truly understand. At worst, an extra game could push the players to their breaking point, and at a minimum, it's just exposing them to unnecessary risks for greedy owners that are just trying to suck up some extra profits. The long-term implications could be very dire. An extra game per year could ultimately shorten careers, which I don't think is particularly fair to the athletes who have dedicated their entire lives to the sport. Awesome, more money for the players. While there may be a legitimate risk of shortening some players' long-term earning potential due to the added injury risk, the reality is that more games also does mean more revenue. And more revenue means higher salaries for the players. An extended season could lead to better contracts and more financial security for those who put their bodies on the line every week. This potential for increased earnings further enables the players to do all those things that they always talk about during a negotiation. You know, like supporting their families and setting themselves up for life after football. When all is said and done, more money in players' pockets pockets is always a good thing, even if they have to do a little bit of extra work for it in the form of an 18th game. Terrible? Giving the owners what they want. Let's face it, while some fans want it, and hey, rightfully so, the origin of the push for an 18-game season is the nefarious owners' desire for more profit. Meaning, players and fans might see some benefits, but when you peek behind the curtain, the primary motivation is only to line the pockets of the already insanely wealthy team owners. And while we as fans might be cutting off our collective nose to spite our faces, sometimes it feels good to be spiteful, especially when it's towards a group of individuals like the NFL owners. Who's to say that a little class warfare can't sneak into the NFL's collective bargaining agreement? Say no to an 18th game, even if it's only to make a statement to the greedy owners. Awesome? Extra bye week for the players. Granted, the NFL could just do this regardless, and frankly, they probably just should, but to counterbalance the added game, the NFL would introduce a second bye week to the schedule. Doing this would give its players more time to recover and reduce the overall strain on their bodies, something that they could always use, even with a mere 17-game season. And you know, there is precedent for this too. The NFL experimented with the concept during the 1993 season, with each team having 2 bye weeks. Those extended the regular season from 16 to 18 weeks. But for whatever reason, they reverted back the following year, despite it being very popular among the actual players and coaches. So much so that it's actually come up in multiple collective bargaining negotiations since. The players and their representatives have continued to push for changes that would help mitigate the physical toll of a grueling NFL season, and that extra bye week is one of those things. I'm honestly not exactly sure why the NFL owners continue to push back on it, because it really just seems like a win-win for everyone involved. An extra week off during the season could help manage injuries, keep players fresher, and ultimately lead to better performances on the field. It's shocking that they've continued to resist this, seemingly just for the sake of resistance itself. Terrible, worst product on the field. No one wants to hear this, but reality is that with more games, aka more wear and tear, and potentially more injuries, the overall quality of play might suffer. No, scratch that. It would almost definitely suffer. And that is something that we as football lovers cannot afford to have happen, as the product has already gotten super diluted in recent years, much to the chagrin of the fans that pay their hard-earned money to see top-tier football and dedicate the bulk of their weekends to this sport. It's hard to imagine a world in which fatigue does not become a significant factor as the season extends. Players, even those who remain relatively healthy, may experience a decline in performance due to the extended grind of an 18-game schedule, because, well, they just can't be as precise and explosive as they might normally be. Balancing the desire for more football with the need to protect players' health and subsequently their performance on the field is a delicate challenge that must be carefully managed. Otherwise, the NFL is choosing to risk not only their fan engagement in the short term, but also their long-term positioning as a premier entertainment entity. Awesome lifetime benefits. One of the potential upsides to implementing an 18-game season is the possibility of lifetime health benefits for vested players. Before we get into it, let's be clear. The increased revenue that the NFL would pull in as the result of this extra game is not compulsory for the league to institute a more robust benefits package. It might sound insane, but the NFL has been holding on improving this package as a critical bargaining chip to play at just a time like this. So now that we've got that out of the way, it sure would be great to see the NFL allocate some funds to establish comprehensive healthcare programs for retired players, regardless of where the money is sourced from. Instituting such programs would assist with critical factors in maintaining a standard of living and, in some cases, individuals' dignity. You know, things like medical care, physical therapy, mental health support, and access to specialists for conditions related to their playing days. It's shocking that a league with the resources that the NFL possesses hasn't invested more in this already. All they need to do is splinter off a little bit of that massive revenue stream to give league veterans the quality medical care that they need to manage chronic conditions, recover from injuries, and maintain a better quality of life as they age. It's simple. Rolling out a lifetime health benefits program would also address the financial burden of medical expenses that many retired players face. Even with the earnings from their playing careers, the cost of long-term medical care can be overwhelming, to say the very least. Regular people can't fathom the wear and tear and the subsequent cost to treat said wear and tear that NFL players have to endure. It feels like covering these expenses is the least that the league could do after these players put their bodies on the line year in and year out. out. This would be a major win for their brand too, which they clearly care about. The NFL would be the league that not only pays its current players, but also supports the physical well-being and facilitates financial stability and peace of mind. Look at that. No more gone broke stories. Terrible, less opportunities to make a roster in preseason. With a longer regular season, the preseason would also likely be shortened, which may sound appealing to all of the ravenous football fans out there that are hungry for more real-deal regular season action and don't really care a lick about the preseason, but eliminating these preseason games would not be without consequence, as it would also reduce opportunities for fringe players to showcase their skills and actually make the roster, especially when you consider the fact that we've seen quite a number of players that end up making the team during this pivotal window go on to have robust NFL careers, and of course earn life-changing money for their families. Taking away this opportunity from them feels almost criminal. The fact of the matter is that while preseason games are not always exciting for fans, they are crucial for teams as they stress test their systems and fill out their rosters. It gives coaches time to evaluate talent and for players to prove themselves. Cutting these games could really limit the chances for underdogs to earn a spot on the team, which I don't think anyone wants to see. But hey, which reason for the 18-game season do you think is the most valid? Which one do you hate the most? Which one do you think we got right? Which ones do you think is maybe not so right? Do you think that the NFL should go through with it? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton. And hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, well, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.